Hi scholars, welcome. Mr. Hinkle here, continuing our discussion of what type of shapes or landforms that glaciers leave behind after they're no longer there. This lecture is Erosional Glacial Landforms, where we will identify and describe various landforms created by glacial erosion. Okay, so erosional landforms are created when moving masses of ice flow over bedrock. They can grind the sediments up into a powder called rock flour as they're moving, and then that rock flour is gritty and it leaves behind certain features, creating a glacial polish. And the erosional feature that we have here is called glacial striations. I'll tie this whole lecture in together with Yosemite, but when you look at a landscape that doesn't have any glaciers, right, or very few, like Yosemite, there are some high elevations, you have to look to specific landforms to understand the geologic history. In places like Mount Rainier, in places like Yosemite National Park, there is bedrock that is covered with these linear grooves that tell us, they share the story that once this area was covered by these dynamic features called glaciers. Now, high mountain landscapes or alpine landscapes are often dominated by glacial erosion. And there are very specific features that you see in these environments, which we are going to go through one by one right now and talk about how alpine glaciers produce a variety of unique erosional landforms. So the big one here is when a river is carving into the landscape, it has a very distinct V shape. Areas that have, or river valleys, canyons that have not experienced glaciation have a characteristic V shape. Now, when a glacier comes in, it might fill up that valley, carve down, and transport all that sediment, because glaciers are incredibly powerful agents of erosion. And now they form a U shape. U-shaped valleys are characteristic of glacial erosion, but we won't just stop there. We will continue to look at what else is characteristic of glacially carved valleys. If you've ever hiked up near mountaintops, you usually hike to a lake. Why is that lake there? Because a cirque glacier carved this bowl-shaped depression that then later filled with water called a tarn. So cirques are really awesome. Tarn, very cold. Go climb a mountain, find a cirque, jump in the lake, make sure it's summer and it's hot, otherwise you are going to be very, very cold. But what a cool place, what a cool thing to experience. Cirques, tarns, hanging valleys. Here it is again, Yosemite. This is Bridal Veil Falls. Why is Bridal Veil Falls there? Well, it's going to go a little bit like this. We have our U-shaped valley. And the river was carving down something like this. Actually, it was carving down something like this into the V to meet it. But then the glacier came in and eroded the main valley, where now our river has been truncated and created a waterfall. The hanging valleys of Yosemite are another line of indication that speak to us. They tell us that Yosemite at one point was carved by glaciers. Yosemite has a rich history from the subduction of the Farallon plate underneath the North American plate that created the Sierra Nevada batholith, covered by volcanoes, which then through uplift and exhumation expose these basement rocks on the surface, further subject to the processes of weathering and erosion. Then at some point, the icing on the cake for Yosemite is to carve it with glaciers, and what do you know? Da, 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 you have this beautiful, amazing landscape. Let's go to Yosemite. Enough looking at photos of it. It's awesome. Okay, train is leaving. Let's go right now. The Matterhorn, Switzerland. This is where ridges connecting glacial valleys, these ridges are called arêtes. Let's see, there's a point in it, yep, it's right here. Where three arêtes, three ridges, that's 3D, come together and form a horn. This is the Matterhorn in Switzerland. Bucket list item for me is to stand on top of this mountain. It's going to happen someday when I carefully plan and take the time out of my schedule and my life to go do this thing. But point being, the Alps, high elevation, covered in snow and ice, and indicate glacial erosion and glacially carved features. Fjords. So fjords are U-shaped glacial troughs that have been flooded by the sea. So this is where you have changes in sea level and plate tectonics both interacting to create a submergent coast where sea level has risen relative to the landscape. The landscape has previously been carved by glaciers, and essentially you would have this U-shaped valley now filled with water. We are no longer in Yosemite. Now filled with water all the time, giving you steep sides, steep cliffs, deep, long, narrow waterways. So let's put this one on. Fjords. Common around the east coast of Canada and various places around the world. Here's our GIF of glacial erosion. This one really sums it up quite well. Okay, it's going to start over. River. Glaciers coming in from all sides, carving a U-shaped valley. Look at the power of that glacier. And then it retreats. Hanging valley, waterfall, cirques, and tarns. So it's all here. Yosemite is a glacially carved landscape. I think I got really excited and I kind of explained. I went way back in 23 million years of Earth history for this one. But characteristic hanging valleys, wide, U-shape, steep cliffs. Down in the valley there are moraines, there are cirques and tarns. Up in the higher areas you have glacial striations. The features that are common for erosional landforms, or I should say, all of the erosional landforms that are characteristic of a glacially carved landscape are present in Yosemite's natural beauty. With that, landscapes are covered by glaciers. They make amazing features that are fun for us to explore. Earth surface processes dominated by the power of moving ice. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again.